Hello everyone, Christina here. Welcome to another live stream here at my YouTube channel. I'm just noticing my mat up here has gold splatter on it. So I'm just going to wipe that down really fast. Get rid of all that gold paint. So tonight I'm going to be playing with the Daphne's Flowers Inlay dies. And I used this die set a couple weeks ago. I'm going to break it out again tonight to do a grading. Hello, Betsy. Hello, Leanne. Let's see, Stephanie, Linda, Anna, Laura, Sorum. Is it Sorum or Sorry, Emily? I'm not sure. Sorum, Bonnie, Melissa. Hello, hello. So tonight I'm going to be creating with the Daphne's Flowers Inlay dies and the Love Hugs Hello dies. And I'm going to be actually recreating a card that I shared with my release, but I'm going to switch it up and we're going to make it very colorful because the original card was very monochromatic. Leanne's asking how the Mama Elephant event went. It went great. It was so wonderful to see people in person and create with everyone. And, you know, you get nearly 150 crafters all in one room and you know it's going to be a good time. So it was a lot of fun. Okay, so this is the original card from the release. It's all white and gold with a little bit of a neutral stripe stamped down right here. But I thought it would be really fun and interesting to change it up and make the flowers very colorful. And I thought in particular it would be nice to do it colorful because I could show you how the dies are designed specifically to help you when you are doing colorful inlay die cutting with this die set in particular. So let's get into it. I've done lots of prepping and lots of die cutting so that things will go a little bit smoothly tonight. So first of all, let's work on the flowers. So the way this was created is there's two of these clusters of flowers. You can see that this one down here. I'll show you here. I've cut one right here. So the way this is put together is there's one right here, and then you kind of rotate it, and there's another one down here. So I'll be using almost the entirety of the flower cluster. So I need to create the flower cluster twice. And just to make it easy on myself, I'm going to do the same color of flowers on each. You know, like this largest flower will be the same color on both. So that's how it's going to make it much more efficient and easy to keep it kind of, you know, straight in my head. Jeanette says she loves die cutting more than stamping. You know what? I probably love stamping more than die cutting, but there is something really fun about doing inlay die cutting that I find so fun and just relaxing. So when you are building the inlay die, you need to cut a base, and that's what this die is up here. And then you're going to cut an outline. So you're going to need those pieces in particular. And then you're going to need all the interiors for the flowers. Now, if you wanted to get really creative and try to like stretch your cardstock, you could always, you know, use ink to color the cardstock pieces that are cut out when you cut out the outline. But it is so much easier to use colored cardstock. So that's what I'm going to be using. And let me get my die cutting all situated here. All right, the way that I have designed this, this flower cluster, specifically the dies, is that, well, first of all, there's the example. This is how the packaging comes. I've just cut it down so it will fit in my storage pocket a little bit better. But I'm keeping it on the packaging because the packaging is labeled with each flower and leaf. So I have a little guide over here that I've created for myself for what colors I want the leaves to be. Let's figure out the leaves first. I'm going to be using two different colors of Concord and 9th cardstock. I have Tidepool right here, Tidepool and Juniper, and I just have scraps. That's all I'm going to need. Yes, Diana, I'm using a brand new mat because as I was cutting out all those white outlines, everything stopped cutting and I'm like, it's a sign. It's a sign. I need a new magnetic mat. Okay, so over here, this little flower cluster labeled F, I know I want it to be Tidepool. So I'm going to find the individual die up here that's labeled F. I'm going to put that over there, right there. Let's see. I also know that this little cluster that's labeled B is one that I want to be Tidepool as well. So I'm going to grab this one right here. And then this last cluster right here, it's labeled D. That is one that I want in Tidepool as well. So I'm going to grab those three. So for one cluster, those are the flowers that or the leaves I'm going to be cutting out using Tidepool. The rest of the leaves will be cut out with Juniper. So I don't even have to look at these. I can just grab them. There's leaves all around the outside of the solid piece, and then the flowers are outside the outline piece. All right. So I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine. Oh, thank you. I really wanted to label. This is a thank you to Debbie, who says she likes how I label things. I wanted to make sure it was really clear and easy. All right, so let's get these out. And I'm going to try to keep them all together in one cluster. And I'm going to cut out 2 sets of these. Remember, I'm making 2 flower clusters. So I want to make sure I have all of my pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and get those right there. I'm going to have to pop the cardstock out of a couple of these. And as I finish popping them out, I'll just go ahead and put them back on the cardstock here to cut my second set. I did not need such large scraps of cardstock. I just cut out a flower. Why did I cut out a flower? Did you guys catch that? I totally cut out a flower. I did not need a flower. I needed this one up here. There we go. Yes, I need A to be Juniper. So I'll have to cut that one out a second time. And I've got flower pieces in here that I don't need. That's okay. Whatever. All right. Pop out the rest of these Tidepool leaves. I got distracted. It happens. All right. I'll run this through again, and then I'll just have to catch that last leaf one more time. All right, and I kind of want to grab all of the flower pieces and pull them aside before I, let's see, that's a leaf. That's a leaf, that's flower. There should be 5 flower pieces. I don't see the third one, so we'll just leave it. Actually, it's that one. All right. And this is the one that I need to cut a second time. All right, we'll just run that through one more time. And then we'll get these all situated. For the flowers today, I decided I would do kind of like one of my favorite trios of colors from the Concord and 9th line. They are super popular colors. I'm going to be doing peaches, like peach colors. So I'm doing Sorbet, Grapefruit, and Nectar. So I'll get those going since I have to run this leaf through one more time anyway. Just getting my leaves back here on my packaging. Keep everything nice and straight and organized in my head. All right, and that's the leaf that has to go through one more time. All right, so we are going to cut that one more time. In the meantime, let's get our flowers figured out. In fact, I do not need all that extra cardstock or even the cardstock up here. So I'll just do this. Perfect. All right, so I want the largest flowers to be out of Sorbet. So that's going to be this flower right here. And also, let's see, it is, so this one right here. Out of Grapefruit, let's see, I think I want, kind of like looking at the diagram down here, like which one, or you can even look on the back, like which one do you want? I think I'll have it be these two flowers right here. So that looks like it's 2 and 4. We have the flower centers right there. And then out of Grapefruit, we have this last flower, or out of Sorbet, I should say. Out of Sorbet, it's this last flower. There are 5 flowers. So we will die cut these. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just put these other little die cuts in a pile so that I can do these other ones. The thing that's interesting is that on all of these die cuts, or most of them, you're going to get those little nubbies that are on the, the little dots that help you release the cardstock from the die. So if you have like a Diecut Intracut machine or something and those little nubbies bug you, you could always adjust the pressure. That's how I usually cut all of my gold cardstock. I really don't like it showing on gold. So I generally use my Intracut machine to cut out gold specifically. Okay. I'm like, where are all these pieces? They're sticking to me. I might regret removing all of these and not doing them one at a time and adhering them right when I cut them. I just thought of that. It probably would have been a little bit easier to keep track of things. Oh well, since I'm doing 2 sets. All right. Let's get these grapefruit ones. And then we'll put that back down so we can cut them one more time. And then we have our flower centers. And the flower centers are all the same size. I did that specifically because I have done die sets where the centers of flowers, like the little circles, are just barely different in size. And it drove me nuts. Okay, so we'll cut the flower centers one more time as well. Then we'll be ready to start putting this all together. Pam is asking if there's anything you can do if you do not have an Intracut. I'm assuming you mean to eliminate all the little nubs that sometimes show up on your cardstock die cuts. Well, before I figured that out with the Intracut, I kept a really old magnetic mat that had kind of flattened out a little bit. I kept it because then it meant that, it had less pressure, and then I would use that. So maybe don't throw away your old plates right away, because if you have some that are a little worn out, you might be able to just, you know, maybe you don't get a full cut when you use those plates, but if you put in like an extra cardstock shim, it's just enough pressure. That might be a way to do that. Okay. And we'll put this little guy back on the packaging. I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit tedious to get all of these adhered down into the little flower clusters. But that's part of what a lot of people love about inlay die cutting. It's kind of like the puzzle nature of it all. You know, it's almost like putting together a puzzle, and it, you know, it can be very soothing and kind of meditative. So, yeah. All right. Put that one right there. That one right there. All right, so we've got all of our die cuts. Hopefully I haven't had any stray die cuts take a dive for my floor. I wouldn't put it past them. It happens way too often. Constantly losing just like one piece. I'm like, are you kidding me? Just one piece. One piece. Someone was just asking, where are all my cute little pinch bowls? Well, I have one that I'm using it with the, what's the word? The letters that I've cut out for today. Okay, so I did not use any Altenew adhesive sheets. I think I put them in the supply list, but I actually didn't use them today. So I'm going to have to do, let's see, let me grab, I'm just going to grab some inexpensive computer paper. And I'm going to use this to kind of dab off any large amounts of glue as I'm using this, because I've got to like dab on glue really quickly. And I don't want large amounts of glue kind of squidging out, particularly on the outline piece. The individual colorful pieces of the leaves and flowers, I'm not as concerned about, but this part I am, because there is such, you know, a small thin line when it comes to these. Okay, so I'm just gonna pounce that down quick and then pull it back up, and then I'm gonna kind of just start to get it adhered, and then I can pick it up. I can kind of shift things over so it lines up and matches up a little bit better on each one of these. And I'm putting this section down first so that then I can start doing all of the flowers and the leaves. And I guess I didn't get any glue on that little piece right there. So let's fix that. I just need a little bit of glue, just enough to hold it down. Okay. And I have another one of these. Hold on. I've got 5 million of these outlines I'm going to be doing. I want to make sure I'm not using one I'm going to have to use later. Oh yeah, we're totally good. This is the one. Okay, so I'm doing 2 flower clusters. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one down. Oh, we're talking about pinch balls now. Pinch balls are, I think the name comes from like, if you're eating with your fingers and you pinch your finger in the little bowl and it cleans off your fingers. I think that's what a pinch bowl is. Oh, I have lots of pinch bowls. I just didn't have any out right at my fingertips when I was doing all this. And I don't have a fan on, so these cardstock pieces aren't going to fly away, hopefully. I think they probably would have flown away while I was taking them out of the die more than anything. All right, I'm just getting a little more adhesive. Okay. Gonna press that down just to get rid of some of the glue. And then very carefully come in here, kind of press it down, just start to get it adhering, and then I can pick up the piece and kind of use my fingertips to move that die cut so it lines up better. Okay. I do have 2 paper weights that I can put down on those. And while those kind of dry, I'm going to go through and I'm going to turn over all of the die cuts so that they are on the right side, so that I can just pick them up quickly and put them directly down onto the project. You know what I'm saying? Like some of these, you know how die cuts, they have, when they're right side up, they have that curved edge that goes down, that really soft edge. I just want to make sure that all of those pieces are face up. It will make things a whole lot easier. Okay. And we'll do the flowers first. I think they're going to be the most probably time-consuming and difficult to figure out where each piece goes. But I've also learned that as you start doing all these inlays, you start to recognize the pieces and where they go. So I'm hoping that will be the case. Hello, turn over. There we go. And I've also got all of these centers. In fact, maybe doing the centers would be a great place to start. Build up our confidence, right? Okay. Oh, you guys, we can't talk about the little punch monkey. You're going to make me crack. You can't. You just can't do it. I'm almost losing some of my leaves, some of my juniper leaves. I'm glad I caught that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to grab a like a pickup stick tool so that I can pick these up really easily. And I'm just going to do a little dab of glue in the centers of all the flowers. And then I can just quickly grab each one and place it directly down into the flowers. Like puzzling, putting a little puzzle piece in. Lovely. I think they're pretty cute just in white, right? Okay. Now let's see here. Something I've done in the past that has really helped is I try to like look at the flower itself, because I've done a few of these inlay flower sets, and I try to figure out where each piece is going to go before I start gluing. So I think I'm going to try to do that. I'm just looking at how each one is shaped. Some of these are more obviously, I'm hearing cats in the hallway. I don't know what they're doing. All right, I kind of think I know where those two go. Those are a little more obvious. There's also a really skinny guy right there. Let's see. That guy's right there. I'll move this one over here because I think that's down there at the bottom. Oh my word, there's 6 petals on this. And I'm just like trying to figure out what goes where. This is one I'm wishing I would have just cut them out one at a time. I guess I still could. It wouldn't be a big waste or anything. Oh, that one's over there. I already have this one over here. All right, let's just go ahead and get this started. Just put a little dab of glue in each petal area. And then I get to go in and find out if I guessed correctly right away or if it's wrong. It's looking like it's going to be okay for this one. I think that's that one. Yeah, that's definitely that one. And then it's got to be this one. Yay. Okay, first one in. Oh yeah, the bigger pieces will be much easier. This was more of almost like a daisy when I was designing it. I'm like, I kind of want a little daisy flower. I should have made it the biggest one. It would have been easier. Put that one in right there. Oh, does that piece match up? It does not. I think it's this next one over. Maybe? Ooh, who are you? That doesn't really match up. He's got to be this one. There we go. That'll go right there. This one. Who are you? I don't know who you are. Huh. It matched up so much easier on the first one. I don't know why. Okay, that's the right one. Oh, it is the witching hour. The kitties are chasing each other in the hallway. Maybe we'll be lucky enough to hear when Fred is chasing Kevin and Kevin's like, whoa, screaming going down the hallway. It cracks me up every time he does that. At first I thought he was being attacked. No, he's not being attacked. It was just Fred chasing him. Okay, I bet I can match these up pretty quickly. So let's do this. That one is most definitely right there. And then I think this one is right there. One that's very kind of square. It's got to be that one. And then is that right? No. Right there. And right there. Perfect. There we go. There's the first one. Let's get this one. So kind of those same pieces. This is when I wish I had like some nice soothing music for you all to listen to, right? Because this is the very meditative part. Yeah, I think it's going to be really pretty once I have everything on here. Okay, which flower must be this one that I did? The thing that's nice is that the glue is going to stay sticky long enough that it's not going to be an issue. Almost taking my time as I do these. Let's see, it's got to be that one. And then this one. There we go. Come over here. Oh, that's the wrong one. Dang it. I'm just gonna try to pick up the glue as much as I can. It's this one. Okay. So it should be much easier to determine what goes where because it's the last 5. There we go. Easy peasy. This last one might be almost more difficult because a lot of the flower petals look the same. Yeah, it is most definitely like a puzzle. I'm going to sneeze. I muted just in time so I didn't have to blow out your speakers. Okay, I think this has got to be this largest one right there. And then I almost want to put glue over here too because once I find the right piece on one, I can just do the other at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So that one looks like it's right there. All right, and then I think that's right there. It's kind of a wider piece. Oh, I can hear Kevin in the hallway. That's not lining up. I don't know why. I don't know what that piece is. We'll come back to him. Okay. Oh, it must be the other flower. That's what it is. Okay. And then kind of a piece that has a little bit more of a corner. It's got to be that one. Yep. All right, so where's that one? Right here. Okay. Last flower. And there's the flat piece. There's like one petal that's like really flat on the end. For those of you who love puzzles, this is like your jam. I happen to know that Jennifer McGuire loves puzzling, and she also loves doing inlay die cutting. So this completely makes sense. Okay, that's not the right one. It's got to be this one. Yeah. Okay. There we go. That's the wrong one. Must be this one. Yep. Okay, is that it? It is. Lovely. We made it, y'all. And we're basically only 30 minutes in, and this is the most time-consuming part. Okay, so now we've got all of our leaves. So this will be much easier. That one's right there. I mean, I do have some small little leaves, but I kind of have a pretty good idea of where they're going. Okay, so I think that one must be right there. Let's go ahead and just get those adhered. Okay. All right, let's figure out where all of these other ones go. I happen to know this cluster and this one right here are in Tidepool. So, thinking this, yep, that's right there. So that's right there. That probably means this larger one is down here. Yep. I'm like, why am I moving that one? It's supposed to be right there. Okay. This one's right here. That's right there. Right there, which means this one is right there and there. Okay. And then the little itty bitty one is right there. Okay, I think we're good. We can probably start adhering from there. It does go much faster if you place them right next to where they're supposed to go. Oh, that one's upside down. Am I putting it upside down again? No, we're good. Okay. Getting that placed in there. And now I just need to figure out where these other ones are going. I think that one's right there. It's kind of a little more skinny. That one's just a tiny bit larger. Lovely. All right. home stretch. Love these. So cute. All right, so now we've got all of these. And you know what? I realized some those ones that I pushed away were the extra ones that I accidentally cut out of for a flower. Oops. So I'm just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think that's those pieces. Okay. Let's turn all these over so we can get them in the right spot. In fact, maybe I'll line them up. Oh, you guys can't see. Hold on. I'll line them up when it's the same die cut. Oh, there's another of that flower piece. And one of those two. I'm trying to pair die cuts that are the same so that when I find where one goes, I have the other. Okay, everything's in a pair now. We love this for us. So we can just start adhering. All right, largest piece I think is right here. And I also think, is that it right there? It sure is. Oh, upside down. Ooh, that is not the right piece. It must be over here. Nope. Where's your home? There it is, right there. Okay, this one looks like it's right there. That one looks like it should be right here. Yeah, I just had them mixed up. Okay. Put a little glue on those pieces. And this looks like it's the right one right here. Might be upside down. Nope. I was just thinking, so Leanne, she's in the chat. I was thinking back to when we happened to be in Santorini and over, like last July, and the rest of our group went off somewhere and we just kind of wandered, and we wandered into a shop, and it was like I had cat radar. I knew exactly there was going to be cats in this shop. It was delightful. There were 2 little kittens. One was older than the other, and it was a ceramic shop. So there were stacks and stacks of bowls and plates and just dishes everywhere. And got to bring these back over here. And Diana was walking around. I think she was walking around with Jennifer and Sika and maybe even Gran. And it was just such a delightful day. The light quality was just like, maybe it's from pictures or whatever, but in my memory, the light was just warm and yellow. And it was, I'm probably romanticizing it in my head, but that was a lovely morning. It was, I believe it got even busier after we left, but at that moment, it wasn't as busy. And we were just in that shop looking at kitties, and it was so fun. Oh, yeah. Oh, Leanne's shopping. Leanne's walking around shopping, and I'm taking pictures of cats. If you guys have seen that, like, those internet videos where it's like, I'm traveling to Greece to get to know the locals, and then the locals I speak of are cats. Oh, I want to go back. It was fun. Okay, look at that. Both of them are done. I love this for us. Okay, so now I've got to do a little bit more die cutting, but not much. I just need to cut a gold frame. Let's remind ourselves where we're going with this. We're taking this card design and making it more colorful. So I've decided to have the card base be out of rainforest, and then I'm going to do these stripes in white pigment ink. I think that would be a nice way to like bring in a lighter area. So we're going to stamp and then die cut that gold frame. And I'm just going to put these off to, actually, we're not done with these. Just kidding. I lied. We are putting 2 outer frames on top. We want to give it like some dimension. Yeah, I totally lied. We have more to it here. Let's get out that glue again. All right, so I'm going to apply just some dabs of glue everywhere. And I'll do what I did before and dab off this die cut before I adhere it to get rid of some of the excess of the glue. Because I don't want it to be like squidging out everywhere. The word squidge I learned from our friend Debbie Hughes, who is British, lives in Scotland, married to a Welsh man, and she's just delightful. I haven't seen her in a while. I must make my way back to Scotland to see her. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this in. And I wanted to do all the colorful cardstock before putting on these extra layers of the outline because just in case the outline area wasn't adhered perfectly. All right, I'll put that under a paperweight. And we'll do this other one. And then we have one more layer on each. Ooh, Rebel says she's going to Scotland this summer. July will be a lovely time to be in Scotland. I was so afraid that like maybe traveling to Scotland or the UK or, Ireland or whatever, that it would be hot and muggy. It is not. It's pleasant. A little bit of a crispness to it, especially in the morning and at night. I mean, unless they're having a sweltering heat wave, then you're going to be uncomfortably warm. But for the most part, it was lovely. I mean, of course, I am coming from a desert where, gosh, we have many days in the summer that are over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So I suppose it's all relative, But when we were, this was like August of 2023, when we were there, all of the local people who were so kind and delightful, all the locals that we met kept apologizing for the weather. And we were like, stop apologizing. It's lovely. This is perfect. We got out of the sweltering heat of Utah and we were able to enjoy a beautiful temperate summer. It was great. Oh yes, you will enjoy Scotland in July if you live in southern Texas. or I don't know if you mean South Texas or in the South in Texas. Either way, you will enjoy the more temperate. In fact, I would say you might want a very light jacket. I want to say when I was there, I think I just had like a jean jacket. Yes, piecing all the little flowers is really fun because it is like puzzling, but there aren't as many pieces. All right, so I'm going to put one more outline layer on both of these, and then we'll be done with the actual inlay part. I just really wanted the outline to be popped up like it is on that original card design. I think it really lends itself to the, you know, for that texture. Okay, just dabbing this off to get rid of some of the glue. And then it's going to look even more like stained glass because of this. I think it's going to be beautiful. Yeah, do you see how it just gives it that dimension? And this glue will dry clear. And then I can really work with it. All right, I'm going to put the paperweight right there. And then I have an extra. I don't know why. It's weird. Like, did I cut? I thought I only cut this many, but I guess not. I have an extra. You can tell when I start going on and on about places I've been that I have the travel bug. I say this as if I just didn't go on a cruise a few weeks ago. Y'all, it's hard. You get a taste for travel, and then you just want to travel everywhere. What's that meme going around that says, like, my problem is I never want to leave the house. The only time I'll leave the house is to go to another country. So true. I joke that during COVID, my husband and I made our house so comfortable because we couldn't go anywhere. So now I don't want to even go anywhere, even when I can, because I have everything I need here. You know what I'm saying? The cats are here. My crafting stuff is here. All right. Get this lined up. Lots of little bits of glue hanging out. This is making me wish I would have cut them out with my Altenew full sheets of adhesive, but that's okay. All right, we'll put that down. All right, now we're going to go and do a little bit of stamping on our card base. So I've cut out some rainforest cardstock. Let me find my background stamp. I have it right behind me from where I'm sitting. I just have to pull it out. It is hiding somewhere. Like everything except the stamp that I want. Oh dear, I have like a pocket that's labeled that has nothing in it. Like I've misplaced what's supposed to be in it. Oops. Okay. Oh no, I'm not finding this background stamp. If I can't find it, we'll have to improvise. Because that means it walked off somewhere. Oh dear. We might have to improvise. I thought for sure I had the stamp right out here. Okay, we'll improvise. We'll do something with a stencil set. Okay, so I have my Simple Christmas stencil set, and it does have a diagonal stripe in it. So we'll improvise. Got some white pigment ink. And I have my Altenew grip mat here. I won't even need to move the stuff that's on it. I'll just do it like this. Okay, so on the original card, it has these diagonal stripes going across like this. So I kind of want to mimic that. These will look a little different with these stripes, but that's okay. I can feel that there's pixie, whoa, don't like those stripes. I can feel that there's pixie spray left over on the back of this, which will work to my advantage actually. All right, so we're gonna do, oh my word, sorry guys. I'm gonna have to put my hand there so I can figure out what's happening. All right, I'm just gonna stick that down. My camera doesn't like the stripes. Gonna stick that down, and then I'm gonna take these and figure out where I'm going to be placing them, because then I can mask off the top portion where I'm not going to be doing the stripes. I'm thinking like right there. Okay, so I only want the stripes on this portion going down. I hope that's gonna work. All right, I've got my white pigment ink. And let's see. Do I want a sponge or do I want an actual brush? I don't want it to be like super, super white. So I think maybe I will just grab a brush. I do not have a nice soft brush that is dedicated to white ink. So I'm gonna grab one that's blank, like an extra brush I haven't used yet. I'm gonna make it white. So this is like a rainbow splash from Simon Says Stamp. And I'll just load it up with white ink, and then I'm just gonna start going in the direction of the stripes. I want it to be a little bit of a subtle ghosting of the white. I don't want it to be like a super stark white. So I'm just gonna do what I can to get this going here. Yeah, like versifying like a clear, that would be really pretty too. I'm even okay if it's just a little bit stronger of the white ink on the sides. I'd be good with that too. Okay, I'm gonna lift this and just see. Oh yeah, that's nice. Okay, I'm gonna get a little bit more through the center here. It's almost like it will give it a little bit of like an embossed look, I think. Oh, that's pretty. I like that. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Just something more subtle. And it will even dry back a little bit more subtle than that. All right, I'm going to move these out of the way because I need to clean up my grip mat and also the stencil. Clean up all of that white pigment ink. So wipe everything down. Lovely. So once again, that pattern is from the Simple Christmas stencil set, if you were wondering. Yeah, I didn't do a sponge with it because I didn't want it really, really solid. All right, so we're gonna, oh, I love this. We're gonna adhere that to a card base here in a moment. Meanwhile, I do need to cut a gold frame. So let me find where I stashed my gold cardstock. That's another good question. Where's my gold cardstock? I don't know if I put it back where it's supposed to be yet, or if it's still wandering out and about. Let's see here. I did put it back. Lovely. Okay. So I'm going to be cutting a thin gold frame using some matte gold cardstock from Concord and Ninth. And I'm going to be using my A7 thin frames. And I'll use the, well, actually it's from the more thin frame set. It's that in-between size that I added when I came out with more. And normally I would cut gold cardstock in my Diecut Intricate machine, like I said earlier. But this one I don't mind as much because it just has the little nubbies in the corner. So I'm just going to use this. Let's run this through. Oh, one other thing I like to do, it's kind of a tip. Sometimes if you put it through your machine and it just hits that line, it doesn't want to cut. So if you put your die at a diagonal where it's going in diagonally just like that, it cuts a little bit better. So we'll do that. I think my thin frames might be my most used die set. I just keep continuing finding uses for the frames. All right, and then I have this other large gold piece that I can use later. So I have like a bunch of scraps, and I'll just put that in. Okay. All right, I need to adhere my base to an actual card, a folded note card. So I'm going to do that. I'm afraid that white pigment ink is still a little bit wet, so I'm going to do my tape runner adhesive on the card base. Oh, hi. Yeah, I am.
I just wondered if you want me to put your garbage can out.
Oh, sure, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thanks. My mom wandered up to say hello, seeing if I wanted my garbage can put out. Okay. We'll put that one right there. From it there, I was like, wait, how is the door opening? How are the cats opening the door? The thin frame is by me, actually. I forgot to put it in the supply list, so it's not there. I apologize. I can go at it really, really quick. It won't be in the list of supplies that's down below, but where it says, you know, there's a link for the supplies to see the visual supply list, you'll see it there. Give me 1 minute to get it in. Okay. So the more thin frames is the die set that has the exact frame that I used today. But I'm also including the A7 in there. You know, and while I'm fixing the supplies, I'll just put in the stencil. Since I'm fixing it anyway, right? Okay, perfect. All right, so I haven't updated the actual like typed out list. I haven't updated that yet, but you can see the see it in the visual supply list. Okay, so here's that negative from when I cut out the frame. I'm going to use some removable adhesive on the back of that just to put that right in the center of the card. That's going to help me get the frame on really easily. So I'm just going to run a little bit of glue right around this. And then that makes adding on this frame that much easier. Okay. And then I can just grab that edge and pull it up. And then I have that frame on there really nicely. Okay, here we are. We're getting there. We're getting there. All right, so we're going to have this coming across about like that. I'm like looking at the original white version so I can see where I'm going with this. And then, let's see here. We want this one right up there. And then that's going to go about right there. I'm like, how is this not fitting? Okay. Because I do want as much on here as I can get. Oh, I need to turn this. That's what the issue is. It needs to be like this. There we go. That's better. So it'll be about like, how am I not getting these on here right? This is crazy. Okay. It is supposed to be turned like that. And it's like this. Okay. Whew. Okay. And then I just need to turn them a little bit. There we go. Needs to be like that. We got it. All right. So I'm going to pick up one of them. Just do some little scribbles of glue. And it will hang off the edge here a little bit, but I'm not that concerned. Okay. Press that down so it really sticks. If she trims these, I'm going to cry. I am going to trim it. So sorry in advance that you're going to be crying. But I'm making sure that I add quite a bit of glue on the side that's getting cut off because I want to make sure it's at least adhered down. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I'm not trimming off that much, just a little off the side. I like it cut off because then it looks like it could just keep going. You know what I'm saying? We'll wait until I have the greeting on here because then it'll give it a chance to really glue. Okay, so I've done lots of prepping. I've already stacked all of the gold die cuts. I know you're all very impressed. But I did want to show you that with this particular die set, in case you didn't see it at my live a couple weeks ago, when you cut the shadow layer, it impresses into the cardstock where you need to put the letters. You see that? It's really subtle. It's really pretty when you cut it out of gold, and then you could even just use it just as is. But I just needed to know exactly where to adhere the individual letters. So that's what I'm about to do. I can just do these. So what I did was these are stacked 2 layers of white with 1 top layer of gold. And then I can just put it directly down onto the white in the right spot. I love it. It makes it so much easier. As a graphic designer and a typography lover, I'm always like, where do I put the letters so it matches up just right? And I'm always wondering, you know, if it's in the right spot. So that's why I really wanted to include the little lines. so you can get it lined up perfectly. In fact, you can even do glue on that because you can see exactly where it goes. So you'll notice on the gold, there's no little nubbies. I love it. There's no spots from the die cutting machine, and that's because I did that trick that I was telling you about that I do by die cutting it in the Diecut Intricate machine, and I put it on literally the lowest pressure setting for die cutting. If some of you are unfamiliar with the Intricate machine, it has a dial on it so that if you need more pressure or less pressure, you can adjust it so that you get just the right amount of pressure for what you're doing. So you can use it for your 3D embossing folders, for die cutting, embossing, all the things. Okay. How I say white? Do I say white differently? I don't even notice if I say words differently because you know how you don't notice your own accent? But I think I've completely changed some of the most obvious words, like button. I say button more clearly now, mostly because there were some people here at YouTube, nearly 20 years ago when I started doing videos that liked to tease me about it. Yes, you have to have the punctuation. Of course. All right. So I think, yeah, there is foam on the back of the original card. So I'm going to do that on this one too. I'm just going to grab a couple of strips of foam tape. Grab some scissors. You all, did you see that the new season of Paradise on Hulu dropped today? Like the first 3 episodes? What? I think I might have to watch some of it tonight. I always swallow the T's. It's true. That's the Utah accent for you. I never thought it was super obvious, but then I guess it must be because to me, people who are from the East Coast have a very specific accent as well. So why wouldn't I have one, right? Okay. Ooh, I think I need to double up adhesive. I do. I need to double up the adhesive on the lower end of this word here because it's going to be popped up. So let's just do that. Because it's going to be hanging off the flowers. And I also need to do a little bit right in there. So let's just get a little bit more adhesive. Let's see how much is going to be hanging off. Yeah, like just through here. I think that might cover it. There we go. All right. All right, we've got to use our ruler and X-Acto knife and cut these flowers off, or I guess I could just try with scissors. Yeah, scissors will work. Yeah, there we go. Now it'll fit in a regular envelope. I'm just making sure my fingers are very far away from the scissors because I'm really having to use a lot of pressure to cut these. Lovely. All right, so we've got the white version and then the more colorful version. Just some slight changes on both. I think they both look great. And all that glue on the flowers dried clear. I can kind of grab any areas that are being a little weird. All right, well, I love how that turned out. And I loved taking an existing card design and just changing it up a little bit. I think it works really well. Close your eyes. Yeah, close your eyes. Don't watch them being cut. Okay, so here are the cards. This one was the one that I completed tonight. I'm going to do a quick spiel for those watching the edited replay. And then I'll stick around for just a minute or two if you guys have questions. So here is the finished card for tonight. I love how that turned out. I really love changing it up and making it more colorful in comparison to that first card. And I don't know if you guys can see, but the dimension by doing the extra layers of the outline really makes the flowers stand out. It's like a substantial card. I'm pretty sure I would need extra postage for this card. 5x7 cards in particular, if you have any layers, you're generally going to have to pay for an extra ounce of postage. So easy sacrifice to mail this card. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll hopefully be back with another card video very soon. Until then, thanks for watching and happy crafting. Okay. All right, we'll stick around for just a minute. Let me know if you have a question in the chat. I think there were a few that I saw go by, but it was mostly about what supplies I'm using. Barb, snipping the edges is worse than stamp surgery. I don't think so. Stamp surgery is permanent. When you're doing this, you can just die cut another set if you want. Let's see. Do Concord and Ninth only do mixed colored cardstocks for a limited time? It depends. I think they generally try to always keep an assortment pack with all of the colors in stock. I think it might be out of stock at the moment, but I know that's one that they will continue to carry. As far as having like the specific color combinations, like they have some for Christmas and sometimes they'll have like little playful ones or whatever. I think those are limited because they come out with fresh new ones, you know, every year. Let's see. Pam says, I double stamp pretty much all of my cards when I mail them. Yeah, just to be safe, right? Unless it's like a one layer card, generally, most of my cards, because I like to mention, will have some extra postage. But I do, hold on, let me grab this. I've got to get this drawer to close so I can grab it. This is my postage calculator chart, my postage chart, and it is updated with the most current information. So, for example, down here it says it's 78 cents. That's the price of a forever stamp right now is 78 cents. So if it was an additional ounce, you would be adding on 29 cents. So it's really not that much. It would be like $1.09. I think that's about right. If I'm doing quick math in my head. I was not a math major, so forgive me if it's wrong. But it's just over $1, which is really not bad when you think about it. Like this piece of mail can go anywhere in the United States, including Alaska and Hawaii, for just a little bit over $1. I think that's amazing. It's so economical and inexpensive. Blows my mind. Laura says, this is a different design style for you, especially with the inlays marked. Do you plan to do more like this? I do. I've done a few inlays, mostly with holiday products. I have got some berries and things like that. And that's when I realized with inlay stuff like this, it was really annoying to not have like the separate pieces to do the colorful parts. So yeah, I would like to do more of these inlay dies. And when I do, I will definitely label them like this because I think it's so much better. Let's see. Oh, my Southern accent is completely gone after I lived in Arizona for 20 years. You probably sound like you have an Arizona accent. There you go. Let's see. I don't have stamps for 29 cents, so I just double stamp. You know what you should do? You go on Etsy and you search for unused US postage stamps, and you can find maybe some postage that is like 30 cents, 35 cents, something like that. And then you're all good. It's great. And then you can put on an additional stamp and it's like a vintage stamp. It's so fun. I like to do that. Okay. Oh, yes. And there is an extra ounce stamp. Andrea is reminding me of that. She says she stocks up on extra ounce stamps before the price increases. Yes, absolutely. Will I be making more sentiment dies with the borderlines? Yes. With the, that have the intricate thing in effect. I just designed some that are coming out in May. Lots of tips about mailing if you want to look in the live chat. Silly Jilly says, do you prefer honeybee's glue? Is it because the tube is comfortable in your hand? I'm fairly certain it's the same glue as a bunch of other companies. In fact, I think, is it Trinity that has the same bottle even? I like it because it's a little bit of a bigger bottle. But when I was at C9 Winter Retreat a couple weeks ago, they had like a small, intricate, like a needle-tipped bottle. And that was really nice because it put out a very small amount of glue. That was really nice. So I'm considering when I'm done with this bottle of glue, because that's the last one I have of the honeybee glue, I might try one of those bottles that has a more needle tip on it. We'll see. I tried one years ago and I didn't like it as much. It kept getting clogged. And this like never gets clogged. I think it's only clogged maybe once or twice. And I think this is like my third bottle. It took me ages to get through the first bottle. So it lasted a long time. Let's see. Is the frame die that skinny, or do you cut your gold paper to a particular size? The die is this skinny. It's the thin frames dies. It's down the supplies. Click on the visual supply list to see it. And yes, the thin frames dies really are that skinny. They cut a skinny frame like that. That's how you get such an extensive, beautiful stamp collection. That and, well, I've just been collecting for years. But also, if you want to go to a website was just easy to look and find everything, I believe it's Edelweiss Press, Edelweiss Post. What is it? I can't remember. The guy's name is Patrick that runs it. I think he at one point also had an Etsy shop. But hold on. Edelweiss Postage. It must be Press. Press stamps. Let me see. It's edelweisspost.com. It's this right here, edelweisspost.com. And I believe he sells, I think he does have some current stamps, but mostly all vintage or no longer for sale. And generally, I mean, they're going to be marked up a little bit more than what the face value is. When it comes to mailing your postage stamps, the postage, like the U.S. Postal Service, will only going to take they're only going to take the face value. If it says 13 cents on the stamp, it's only worth 13 cents to them. But for collectors, it's worth a little bit more. So maybe for a 13-cent stamp, you might pay something more like 25 cents, something like that. But I think it's really fun, and it's a great way to like add a little more color to your envelopes. Pam says, I'm always afraid I'll be scammed with postage that isn't legit. I would say for the most part, if it is a forever stamp and they are selling it for less than what a forever stamp is currently, that's a scam. Like if they're selling it for less than what it's worth to the US Postal Service, don't buy it. It's not legit. No one's going to sell it at a loss. So those are going to be where you'd get scammed. So I've seen some listed on Amazon, like Sesame Street stamps, like forever stamps, and they're considerably marked down. Don't do it. It's not worth it. They're not legit. Okay. Let's see. Someone says barely art glue is really good. Awesome. What, no backup? Well, I had like 4 backups, but I'm slowly going through them. Can you make oval thin frames? Stay tuned. Like maybe wait till next week. Let's see here. How did I do the white stripes on the white one? Okay, so this was the stamp that I couldn't locate tonight. It's actually a stamp. I have a stamp called Diagonal Lines Background, and it's just a really thin lined background stamp, and it was just stamped at a diagonal. It's listed in the supplies or down in the description, but this is Adore Me. Unfortunately, it's discontinued. It's one of my favorite pinks. I really wish they'd bring it back. Let's see here. Someone is saying you're getting, oh, because Carrie said that she puts do not bend and they charge it as a package. Yeah. Yeah, don't. In fact, if it's rigid, if you can't bend it, they will consider it a package. So for the most part, if it's a card, you know, it will bend. It will bend if you put enough force to it. So I don't worry about it. I don't mark it do not bend or anything. Let's see here. Thank you, Andrea, for that link. That's exactly it. Oh, I mailed an A2 card the other day to North Carolina. It was in a small bubble mailer. Did not mark it with anything. Sent cheapest way. It cost me $7.60. It's probably because it was a bubble mailer, and so it made it thicker than a 1/4 inch. So on my little postage chart, one of the first questions is your card or envelope thicker than 1/4 inch? If it's thicker than a 1/4 inch, it's considered a large envelope. So what I would do, instead of putting in a bubble mailer, like maybe you have some embellishments or, you know, something that you don't want to get messed up. What I've seen people do, and I think it works really well, is like when you order something online and it comes in a bubble mailer, cut the bubble mailer apart so it's only the one side of the bubble mailer, and then just put that inside, protecting your card. And hopefully it will still be under 1/4 inch. If it still is a little bit too thick, maybe just do cardstock instead of that like bubble mailer piece. Generally that's enough to help it go through the machines without catching on anything. So that's what I would recommend. Where can I get the latest postage grid chart? There's a link down in the video description. You just scroll on down. I've updated the links in all of my video descriptions, so it only goes to the most recent. You can tell it's the newest one because down here in the bottom it says it was updated in February 2026. Okay. Scrolling through. Okay, so Dilly says, every time I use an extra ounce stamp butterfly, it takes so much longer to deliver. Technically, the butterfly stamps are not the extra ounce stamps. The butterfly stamps are for non-machinable. So if you notice down here, non-machinable is 49 cents. So if you're using the butterfly stamp because you want just an extra ounce, you're actually using more postage than you technically need. Because for another ounce, it should only be 29 cents. Granted, there's just a 20-cent difference. But if you're sending a lot of cards, like Christmas cards or something like that, it might be more beneficial for you to buy the actual stamp that is just worth the extra ounce instead of using the non-machinable. Just so you know. And I want to say the butterfly stamps, they are labeled non-machinable on them. So that's a good way to remember. Let's see. La la la. Lots of really good tips about mailing your cards. Yes, the thin foam wrap that comes in packaging. Perfect. Like if you buy something and it's like, it's wrapped in like that really thin, almost fabric-like foam. That's great. That's the perfect way to recycle that. Our postage system sounds so complicated. It's true. It does. Yes, the butterfly stamps, it indicates that it's non-machinable. So that means that it will be hand canceled. And that's probably why it takes longer as well to be delivered. I just sent my first card with a non-machinable stamp. It was a little over $1. Perfect. That's a good, you know. So since you used the non-machinable stamp, it was probably like an additional 49 cents. So in that case, yeah, it's just over $1. No, like $1.20 almost, I think. Yeah. Perfect. All right, well, let's wrap up for the night. Thank you all so much for joining me and for giving all your tips about mailing. And you're always so helpful for each other when everyone has questions and I'm not able to get to them while I'm busy crafting. So thank you so much for helping each other out in the chat. Hopefully I'll be back soon. Like I said, during my little edited replay spiel or whatever. I hope you find some time to craft this week. All right, have a lovely night, everyone. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.